Oh, sorry for the delay. I have a lot of auction stuff to go through, and I still do. We did get a bunch of stuff shipped today, so, um, hmm, hold on a minute. Did Jimmy give me rough? Let me see if Jimmy gave me your shipping, because I know I have to get, let me see. Okay, so Heart Made Wise, your shell went out today. I'm sorry for the delay. And then let me ask Jimmy about these other things. Jimmy,
Yeah.
what about the shipping on these things? The shipping.
What?
Why is this not? Thank you.
Oh, you sent me stuff?
I sent you stuff earlier in the day. I really need to get that out. It's very important.
But if it's big, it's not gonna be able.
No,
Big
it
and
does.
far.
I know, but it doesn't matter. It needs to.
Okay.
I need to get it out. Okay. And Ruff, if you're here, I have to ask you a question. No, I'm Ruff. Is Ruff and Ready here? Hi, Rosalita. Hi, Nicole Griffith. Hi, LMNW. Hi, Sean Sneed. Hi, Larky. I don't think. Do you have my book in there? Okay, I wanted to.
Yeah, I think I may have took it.
Oh, because I have a question. I had to ask Ruff something. But I don't think Ruff is here. Hi, Binky. We packed up a bunch of stuff. Ruff, I have a big box for you packed up. We'll have to get a shipping on that. That's got to go at UPS. And then I have a second box, but I have a question for you because there's some stuff that I'm showing. I hear something. Something's talking. I don't know.
Dogs.
No, it's not. No, it's something talking like. No, it's something talking. Mary Warren, I know I have to get your shipping price. Jimmy, but Emily, could you try to get Emily done, please?
Okay, I will.
And Bridget, Bridget's stuff was sent, right?
Believe so. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, Bridget, I know you were waiting on that. That's been sent. And was anybody else? Heart Made Wise, right?
I don't know. I think I only got.
The shell. You sent the shell?
Maybe.
Okay. Oh, there's Rough and Ready. Rough and Ready. There you are. I had a question for you about something. Sorry, I'm going to get to the true crime in just a minute. I just have to ask Ruff something. Ruff, you got some pens from me a while ago, and they're still here. And I don't know if I put them on an invoice for you. I have to go through them, okay? If I have to just check. I don't want to bill you twice for them. And Marianne Frontini, I still have to go through and refund you that stuff. I have to get in there. I've had a lot of appointments, but I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I've got a lot. We got a lot done today. Tammy, your stuff. You've got that Cash App, and that drives me nuts because I have to go in and see what's paid and what I have to bill you for. And but yeah, I'll get this all done. And I know Chris Ree, I'm way behind on you, and Nicole, I'm way behind on you. And it's Bink. I know I have to take care of you, so I'm gonna
I'll get something to them tonight, right?
try to get some stuff done. I did give you some stuff that you could work on, Jimmy, if you would, please. All right. Yeah, I just don't want to bill you twice. I don't think I did, so I just want to make sure. All right, everybody. Hi, Flo on the go. Sorry about this. So we're going to talk about Murdaugh. He apparently waited an hour before calling 911 for, when his son and wife were shot. So that was really nice, right? The state grand jury chief prosecutor Creighton Waters claimed that Alex Murdaugh waited an hour to call 911 after the 2021 murders of his wife and son, and also claimed that video footage shows Alex Murdaugh at the 1770-acre hunting lodge in Colton County with Paul and Maggie before their phone activity ceased. Murdaugh maintains that he was with his ailing father, not at the hunting lodge at the time of his wife and son's murders. In June of 2021, Maggie and Paul, Maggie 52, Paul 22, were found fatally shot at the family's hunting lodge property. Alex is believed to have acted alone. Maggie was reportedly killed with a rifle while a shotgun was used to kill Paul. Murdaugh was allegedly filmed driving away from the lodge at 9:06 p.m., an hour before he called 911 to report their deaths. Prosecutors have not yet revealed a motive in this case, and detectives are currently comparing DNA from the murder scene to evidence from the 2021 suicide for hire plot that Murdaugh survived. In the September 2021 case, the disgraced lawyer was left with a superficial head wound, and he allegedly had his former client Curtis Smith shoot him in the head while he was changing a tire on a back road so that his son Buster would receive a $10 million insurance payout. Day before the shooting, he was forced out of his family law firm in disgrace amid allegations that he misappropriated funds, and then we found out his wife had already alleged that, and she was living in that family's house in Edisto. They were estranged, and we went past that house when we were in Edisto, South Carolina. There is a video on that. Now, 2 days again before the botched suicide, he announced that he was going to enter a rehab for drugs, but he was charged with insurance fraud in connection with the suicide for hire plot, and then he was released on bail. In October 2021, he was rearrested upon leaving a rehabilitation center in Florida for allegedly stealing $4.3 million from the estate of his former housekeeper. Now, she had an untimely and strange death that was supposed to be a fall where she, fell accidentally, but it looked like maybe there might have been something else to it, and there was an insurance policy that he was going to split with her sons, and he never gave them the money, and the housekeeper's sons then sued him. So he was accused of stealing the insurance payouts that were intended for the housekeeper's family. Now the authorities plan to exhume the housekeeper's body amid an ongoing investigation into the circumstances surrounding her death. Because she was a young woman. I believe she was in her early 50s, maybe 52. In June of 2022, Murdaugh and Smith were indicted for allegedly purchasing and distributing oxycodone in multiple counties. Murdaugh was charged with his wife and son's murders days after he was formally disbarred by the South Carolina Supreme Court. In addition to the murder charges, he is facing 84 criminal counts for allegedly stealing money from a slew of clients and his former law firm, and he is still in jail on $7 million bail. So, yeah. Now, those twins that we talked about last night, the ones that disappeared from a house that they were in, they're boy-girl twins, and they were emaciated. They told the neighbor who they escaped to about horrible torture, where they were only given a sandwich to eat, and that was only if they were okay. They were handcuffed. They were zip-tied. So the two 16-year-old twins who escaped a house of horrors this week detailed some of the abuse that they suffered at the hands of their mother and her boyfriend, according to the charging documents. The boy said that Duncan once gave him 24 Benadryl tablets to make him sleep. The dosage gave him a seizure, and so she reduced the dose to 20. The mother is Zakiah Duncan. She's 40, and the mother's boyfriend is Jova Terrell, 27. They were arrested in Louisiana. They fled there after the kids escaped from the Texas home on Tuesday. Duncan has been charged with injury to a child and aggravated assault, and Terrell is charged with continuous violence against a family member. The twins were barefoot, emaciated, and barely dressed when they escaped their house in Cyprus early Tuesday morning, knocking on the doors of neighbors and begging for help until one of them opened the door and let them in. By the time the police arrived, Duncan, Terrell, and 5 other children ages 8 to 14, including 12-year-old twins, were gone. So, yeah, 16 and 12-year-old twins. Only one child remained with the couple when they were arrested. The other 4 were found with relatives in Louisiana. All 7 children are now with protective services in Texas. The twins say their mother poured bleach down their throat and on their genitals, burning their skin. They also said she made them drink Lysol and Easy Off cleaners if they talked too much. They were beaten with extension cords and curtain rods, and Terrell frequently punched the boy. The victims say they were only fed a few times a week, typically a sandwich that was made with mustard, relish, or bologna. They were handcuffed naked to a dolly in the laundry room and often had their feet zip-tied. Court documents revealed cuts, bruises, and scars on their body, particularly the wrist and ankles. The teens told investigators that their 12-year-old twin brothers were abused and locked into a bathroom. The documents also revealed how the 2 escaped. The boy told investigators he found the handcuff key in his mother's purse and concealed it in his mouth. At about 5 a.m. on Tuesday, they used it to unlock the cuffs and fled. The boy was shirtless, according to the woman who took them in, and the girl was wearing a grocery bag as a shirt. They said, "Can you help us? Can you help us?" They were so skinny and so frail, the neighbors said. They looked like they had been through a lot. The woman said she wrapped them in blankets and fed them. The more I asked and realized how severe the situation was, it was just a flood of emotions that came over me. How could a mother do this to her kids? And I feel like my tears are out of frustration, anger, and sadness. It was also reported that Duncan had been charged with cruelty to juveniles 10 years ago in Louisiana, but the result of that case was not reported. So how'd she have all these kids, and how'd she get with the others? All of them, the other boys were, but what about, that's such a crazy case, huh? Oh my gosh, okay. Now what is this one about? Okay, we went through that one. Okay, let's go to Simon. The search for little Quinton is halted, I believe, until Monday. Let's see this. So the Chatham County Police announced on Friday the investigators will be analyzing evidence and conducting interviews this weekend in connection with the disappearance of Georgia toddler Quinton Simon. Maybe the mother's going to be arrested then, huh? Chatham County investigators have spent the past few days searching a landfill for the missing Todd, who police believe is deceased. The landfill search will pause over the weekend, but police say they will pick up where they left off next week. The FBI, Chatham County Police Department, and numerous others went through literally tons of garbage while searching for the child. This is a grueling part of our investigation and can only be performed by a team of specially trained law enforcement searchers. It's also dangerous, and searchers are exposed to numerous and very real health and safety hazards every minute that they are working. We have worked every day since we received the call on October 5th that little Quinton was missing. We want you to know that we appreciate the hundreds of messages of support that our department has received since this case began and how much it means to every person working tirelessly on this investigation. Okay, so let's see here. Police launched an extensive search of the area, calling in help from other nearby jurisdictions as well as the FBI. Earlier this month, police say they believed Quinton was deceased and in a landfill. They talked about a specific dumpster that would lead them to a specific part of the landfill, and that's where they've been searching. We believe he was placed in a specific location because of that specific dumpster, said the Chatham County Police Chief Jeff Hadley. I have every belief that we will find his remains here at the landfill. We want justice for Quinton just like everybody else, and we want to find his remains so we can give him a proper resting place. And they haven't arrested the mother because they don't want to jeopardize the case. They want all their dots on, their I's dotted, T's crossed. They still have work to do, Hadley said, adding that the mother's not considered a flight risk, and they're going to make sure that everything is kosher before they do anything. A dedicated tip line has been established for the case at 912-667-3134. I'm thinking that maybe there might be an arrest this weekend, huh? Okay. And what is this about? Daycare employees charged with felony child abuse for scaring kids with a Halloween mask. Wow. Okay. 5 people have been criminally charged with a video shot earlier this month which repeatedly shows a daycare employee scaring children with a Halloween mask. Sierra McCandless, Oceana Kilburn, Jennifer Newman, Cheyenne Shelton are all charged with felony child abuse, while Tracy Hudson is charged with simple abuse against a minor and failing to report abuse. There was footage that was obtained, and it was from October 4th. It apparently shows a Little Blessings daycare in Hamilton employee wearing a mask as children scream and cry in the background. The video shows the employee wearing the mask, getting in a child's face and screaming. The person in the mask is also overheard telling the children, "Clean up and act good." The daycare owner, Sheila Sanders, has not been criminally charged. The owner said a similar incident was filmed in September, but she was not informed of the incidents until the video was posted to social media this month. 4 employees have been terminated as a result of the ordeal. It appears to us they were using the mask for behavior modification. They can't use corporal punishment, so we think they were using the mask to scare the kids into doing what they were supposed to be doing, said the Monroe County Sheriff Kevin Crook. He sounds like he's okay with that. Crook said the children's family had filed charges against the daycare employees in Monroe County Justice Court. One of the children's parents told Good Morning America that their 2-year-old son still has trouble sleeping through the night. We opened an investigation to look into it and see if it was a crime and fit one of our statutes, and if so, which one. Earlier this week, we met with all the families that wanted to meet with us considering the possible charges and what those might be. During Thursday's hearing, McCandless and Kilburn's bonds were set at $20,000. Newman and Shelton's bonds were set at $15,000. Okay. Now back to the Michael Valva trial. Hold on a minute. Michael Valva, who is on trial for the death of his son Thomas Valva, asked the child if he was alive after the boy collapsed outside the family's Long Island home in 2020. 43-year-old Michael Valva, currently on trial at the Suffolk Superior Court for the murder of his son Thomas, who was 8 years old at the time of his death and on the autism spectrum. Thomas froze to death after being forced to sleep in an unheated garage at his father's home with temperatures plummeting down to 19 degrees. "Wake up. Are you alive? Are you alive? Are you alive? Are you alive? You can't answer me? Fine," Valva said to Thomas during a recording on January 17, 2020. The recording, according to prosecutors, happened about 50 minutes before Michael Valva called 911. Valva contacted 911 at around 9:41 a.m., less than an hour after Thomas was pronounced dead at 10:28 a.m. at the Long Island Community Hospital. Thomas's body temperature at the time was 76.1 degrees, according to the Suffolk Police Sergeant Norberto Flores' testimony. Along with the video, numerous text messages between Valva and his then-fiancée and co-defendant Angela Polina, who's 45, were read to the court. Prosecutors say that both Valva and Polina forced Thomas and his older brother Anthony to sleep in an unheated garage for numerous months before Thomas passed away. Earlier this month, East Morich's elementary school principal Edward Schneier testified that 6 children from the Valva and the Polina family attended the school. Schneier said that he knew the family well, including Thomas and his 10-year-old brother Anthony, who were both autistic. The principal said that within the span of 1 school year, Thomas's brother Anthony lost 20 pounds, adding that their food had been monitored. Further, both children were initially potty trained when they started school, but both eventually started attending classes in pull-up training diapers. The principal said both boys would consistently show up to school with bruises and scrapes, and meanwhile the boys' behavior began to change. The school flooded CPS with calls about concerns for the children, which resulted in Michael Valva threatening to sue the school for harassment. Michael Valva's defense attorney, John Laturco, told the court that despite any allegations of neglect, Michael never wanted his son to die and isn't guilty of murder. Everyone needs to be focused on not the neglect, child endangerment, but rather the depraved murder charge. There's no evidence to show that Mr. Valva wanted his child to die. Prosecutors told the jury that Thomas and Anthony suffered years of abuse at the hands of their father, often arriving at school with bruises and scratching, and hungry. They were observed at school literally eating crumbs off the floor, said the Suffolk County District Attorney Laura Newcomb. Newcomb also related a text Valva sent to Polina saying, "I will beat them until they bleed. It's the only thing that works." Valva's attorney laid the blame at Polina's feet, saying she constantly told him he was being too lenient with the boys and that Valva was desperate to make things work. He painted her as a wicked stepmother. "You are making it too comfortable for them," she allegedly told Valva, according to the attorney, Anthony LaPinta. "Let them be uncomfortable. That will teach them to control themselves." Valva LaPinta said during his opening statement never ever thought that either of his boys could die from being in that garage. Shame. When Valva arrived at the hospital to see his son, he had no emotion, paramedic Erin Lambert had testified days earlier. There was no tears, there was no emotion, Lambert said, recalling what the suspect saw when the suspect saw his son in the bed at the hospital. A staff member came in the room and asked him if he needed a drink or a chair or to make a phone call, and he turned and said, "No, I've been in more stressful situations." The trial is continuing. How could they find him not guilty? I don't know. On Thursday, the state of Oklahoma executed an inmate who murdered his 9-month-old daughter in 2002. Benjamin Cole, 57, was killed via lethal injection at Oklahoma State Penitentiary in McAlester. According to the Oklahoman, Cole was condemned to die for murdering his infant daughter Brianna, who he bent backward for crying as he played video games. Cole went back to playing video games after mortally injuring his daughter. The infant's spine was snapped in half. Oh my gosh. And her aorta was severed, leading her to bleed to death. Oh my gosh. This is horrendous. Cole, annoyed by Brianna's crying and excitement, grabbed Brianna's ankles, forcibly pressed her ankles against her head. Oh my gosh, I'm going to throw up. Arching her back in half and turning her over. Cole then returned to his video game and left Brianna to die an agonizing death in her crib. That's according to the State Attorney General John O'Connor. The baby's mother was outside hanging laundry when the incident occurred. Cole confessed a day later after a pathologist deemed his daughter's death a homicide. Ugh. Cole's attorney sought clemency for the condemned inmate, claiming that he has been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia since his trial. The warden, Jim Ferris, rejected their bid in August, and 5 courts refused to step in. In September, the Pardon and Parole Board voted 4-1 to deny clemency for Cole. Oklahoma Department of Corrections Chief of Operations Justin Ferris said Cole declined a ceremonial last meal, and declined to have a spiritual advisor with him. The reporters who attended his execution said that he spoke in a raspy whisper and appeared incoherent as he uttered a stream of consciousness prayer. Brianna's mother did not attend Cole's execution, but the slain baby's uncle and aunt were present. The lethal injection took 16 minutes. A Michigan man accused of killing and mutilating and eating body parts of the body of a grinder date in 2019 will serve the rest of his life in prison. Matt Latunski, pictured left, initially pleaded insanity in the killing of 25-year-old college student Kevin Bacon, pictured right. He was ruled incompetent to stand trial, but he was found competent in October 2020. In September 2022, Latunski pleaded guilty to the charges against him, including first-degree murder, which is an automatic life sentence in Michigan for those convicted. Before sentencing, the presiding judge determined that Latunski should be charged with first-degree murder instead of second-degree murder, since the suspect planned Bacon's torture and murder. The court finds that this is a crime of cold calculation, said Shiawassee County Judge Matthew Stewart on Wednesday. Latunski is scheduled to return to court in December. Bacon was reported missing on Christmas Day, 2019, a day after meeting in person with Latunski. Bacon's body was found in Latunski's home 3 days later. Detectives say that Latunski admitted to stabbing Bacon in the back and slitting his throat before tying a rope around Bacon's ankles and hanging him from the ceiling rafters. Then investigators say he severed Bacon's testicles with a knife and ate them. Oh my gosh. Investigators found Bacon's body still hanging from the rafters on December 28, 2019. Records show that Latunski was committed to hospitals 4 times for mental health issues and was known for stopping his own medications. His attorney, Mary Chartier, previously told the court that her client was pleading guilty against the defense team's recommendation. While this is not an outcome that defense attorney Mr. Krause and I think is in Mr. Latunski's best interest, we do have to follow Mr. Latunski's wishes. She said, "We have discussed this matter, and consistently he has been very clear, more than once, multiple times, on his choice and on his reasoning." Chartier said in court that she believes Latunski would be better served in a mental hospital than in a prison. Bacon's father, Carl Bacon, was in court for the plea and says he's relieved that his family won't have to relive the murder in court. "We won't have to go through a lengthy trial," he said. "Seeing Kevin's pictures again in court, maybe we won't have to go through all that." Okay, and Georgia police are searching for a missing Fayetteville teen who hasn't been seen since Thursday night. 14-year-old Addison Reynolds left her home at around 10 p.m. on Kite Lake Road in Fayetteville. This was the last time that her family saw or heard from her. Police say she may have left with a friend identified only as Marasia. Addison is 4'11". She weighs around 135 pounds. She has brown hair and black eyes. Anyone with information on Addison's whereabouts should contact the Fayette County Sheriff's Office at 770-461-6353 or email Detective Wilson at T like Tom Wilson at FayetteCountyGA.gov. Oh, let's hope she's found. Well, there's so many people missing. And then we have a missing 50-year-old woman who was last seen at an Alabama nightclub. Police in Alabama are asking for help in finding a 50-year-old woman last seen at a Birmingham nightclub. Florzelda Milia Villanova was reported missing on October 18th by family, and she was last seen at about 8 p.m. on October 16th. Florzelda is described as 5 feet tall, 140 pounds, brown hair and blonde highlights and brown eyes. Anyone with information is asked to call the Hoover Police Department Dispatch 205-822-5300. She's found that's odd as well. And then we have that family that mysteriously left their home. And their 2 sons have autism. And this is in Michigan. They're still looking for the family of 4 who unexpectedly left home early Monday morning. They left their pets behind and a family member who requires full-time care. Police say Anthony, Suzette, Noah, and Brandon Sirigliano were last heard from Sunday night by family members who said Anthony seemed paranoid. All the family's cell phones were turned off, and that was the last contact. Police provided these descriptions. Anthony John Sirigliano, better known as Tony, is 51 years old. He's 5'6" and 180 pounds. He has brown hair and no facial hair. Suzette Lee Sirigliano is 51. She's 5'9", 120 pounds. And she has blonde hair and glasses. Brandon Michael Sirigliano is 19. He's 5'8", 120 pounds, brown hair and brown eyes. And Noah Alexander Sirigliano is 15. They don't give a height for him. He's 120 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. The teens both have autism, say authorities. Anyone with information is asked to contact the Fremont Police Department at 231-924-2400 or call 911. A Virginia mother has been charged with murder, and this is after her 4-year-old son died from eating a large amount of THC-infused gummies earlier this year. The doctors told the investigators that medical intervention could have prevented the toddler's death if Dorothy Annette Clemens, 30, would have brought him for help sooner. Tanner Clemens died on May 8th, 2 days after he was found unresponsive. Clemens told police that she called poison control when her son ate half a CBD gummy and was told that he'd be fine. CBD, or cannabidiol, does not contain THC, the psychoactive ingredient in marijuana that makes people high, but toxicology reports a high level of THC in the boy's system. Additionally, the detective investigating said she found an empty THC gummy jar in the home. An autopsy said toxic levels of THC caused the boy's death. Clemens was arrested on Thursday and charged with murder and child neglect as well. She's being held without bond. That's great. Okay, hold on a minute. Another trial update. We're going to look at the nurse too and see what's going on in that one as well. A New York jury found Kevin Spacey not liable Thursday in connection with a civil lawsuit against him filed by actor Anthony Rapp. The jury deliberated for about an hour before reaching a verdict that there was not enough proof to show that Kevin Spacey touched a sexual or intimate part of Rapp. The judge, Lewis Kaplan, subsequently dismissed the case. Rapp claimed that Spacey, who was then 26, invited him to his Manhattan apartment for a party in 1986. There, he said Spacey allegedly picked Rapp up, placed him on his bed, and climbed on top of him, making a sexual advance. Spacey apologized in 2017 and came out as a gay man mere hours after an expose hit the internet. However, Spacey said on Twitter that he didn't remember the encounter with Rapp and claimed it could have happened during a drunken incident with deeply inappropriate drunken behavior. And let's see here. During closing arguments, Rapp's lawyer, Richard Stigman, argued that Spacey contorted his testimony in a way to help his own defense. Don't listen to what I said in real time. I'm defending a lawsuit now. Listen to me now. I've got it straightened out, Stigman said, apparently mocking Spacey's words and suggesting that Spacey was trying to convince the jury that he was innocent of the accusations. When you are a rehearsed and world-class actor and you're following the script and following the testimony of someone else, you could take the stand and be perfectly polished. When you're merely coming to court, coming forward and telling the truth of your experience, especially one like this, that's a little bit complicated. The point of the story is not that Kevin Spacey is gay. It's that he sexually abused him when he was 14. That's what he's sharing with people. He's sharing his experience, nothing more, nothing less. Where's the proof that he said to any media outlet, you know, Kevin Spacey's gay, you really should run with this? Spacey's attorney, Jennifer Keller, brought up the Me Too movement during her closing arguments. She said, this isn't a team sport where you're either on the Me Too side or you're on the other side. This is a very different place. Our system requires evidence, proof, objective support for accusations provided to an impartial jury. However polarized as society may be today, it really shouldn't have a place here. We went there. Then we're here. All right, so let's catch up on some of these trials that are going on. So let's see about that nurse trial in the UK. So we haven't checked in for that in a while. So a nurse accused of multiple baby murders says it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do when she took the body of a newborn baby to a mortuary as his father cried on the floor. Hold on, let me get her in court here. Okay. Lucy Letby, who's 32, messaged a colleague about the death of her first alleged victim at the Countess of Chester Hospital's neonatal unit back in June of 2015. She is said to have murdered child A on the evening of June 8th by injecting air into his bloodstream, and then allegedly attempted to murder his twin sister, who's child B, by the same method on the following night shift. So horrible. She was killing twins and triplets, and imagine those parents tried forever to have those kids. Oh my gosh. She's on trial at Manchester Crown Court, accused of 7 murders and then attempted murders of 10 others. On Tuesday, the jury of 8 women and 4 men were shown a series of messages that the defendant exchanged with other staff members, along with activity on her social media accounts. Less than 2 hours after she finished this shift, where child A died, she made a Facebook search for child A's mother. Later on June 9th, before her next shift started, she replied to a fellow nurse who asked, "Hi, Lucy. Hope you're okay." She responded, "I think we all did everything we possibly could under the very difficult and sad circumstances. Haven't had much sleep. Don't really want to see parents, but it's got to be done. I said to another nurse that I can't look after child B because I just don't know how I'm going to feel seeing the parents. Dad was on the floor crying, saying, 'Please don't take our baby away,' when we took him to the mortuary. It was just heartbreaking. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Hopefully, we'll have a more positive one tonight. Hours later, child B collapsed while Letby was on duty before the youngest later stabilized and was eventually discharged the following month. Hold on. So that was for the late. Is that the triplets she had? Something's not right here. Another online search for the twins' mother was made on Letby's Facebook account on the evening of June 10th. 2 days later, the defendant texted a nurse who had looked after child A when he was born. She wrote, "It was awful. He died very suddenly and unexpectedly just after handover, waiting for post-mortem results. Hopefully they can get to the bottom of this." Her colleague replied, "It's so terrible. You're not having a great run at the moment. Hopefully we will find out soon." She replied, "I was not supposed to be in either. I took pictures, hand and footprints, etc. They are beside themselves, worried that they will lose child B too." Letby went on to murder child C on the 14th of June and child D on the 22nd of June 2015. On the 25th of June, a third Facebook search for the twins' mother was made by Letby. 5 days later, Letby messaged a colleague to say that child B had moved to a recovery room in the unit following her collapse earlier in the month. Her colleague said, "There's something odd about that night and the other 3 that went so suddenly." Letby asked, "What do you mean? Odd that we lost 3 in different circumstances?" The colleague replied, "Were they that different? Ignore me, I'm just speculating." Letby said, "Well, child C was tiny, obviously compromised in utero. Child D was septic. It's child A I can't get my head around." A staff debriefed into the death of child A was held the 30th of July. Letby is alleged to have murdered child E on the 4th of August and then tried to kill his twin brother, child F, the next day. On September 9th, she again searched for child A and B's mother on Facebook. 10 days later, she asked a colleague about the twins' parents. The colleague said they seem good. The father seems to be a little less anxious, loving having child B home. Letby replied, "That's great. She looks like the mother." A court order prohibits reporting of the identities of the surviving and dead children allegedly attacked by Letby, and also prohibits identifying parents or witnesses connected with the children. Letby, originally from Hereford, denies all the offenses which are said to have been committed between June 2015 and June 2016. The trial was adjourned until Wednesday morning. That was Wednesday morning, and then let's see. Trying to catch up with this. Let's see. Okay, here's another update on that case. Come on, get over there. This is such a horrific case. Oh my gosh. A line of gas in front of the spine was an unusual finding on the post-mortem x-ray of a baby who was allegedly murdered by nurse, oh my gosh, Lucy Letby. Pediatric radiologist Dr. Owen Arthurs said its appearance was consistent with, but not diagnostic of air having been administered. The nurse has been accused of killing 7 babies and attempting to murder 10 others at the Countess of Chester Hospital between the June of 2015 and June of 2016. The 32-year-old says she's not guilty on all 22 charges. She's accused of injecting air into the bloodstream of a newborn twin referred to in court as child A, who died on June 8th, the day after his premature birth. Jurors at the Manchester Crown Court were told that Dr. Owen Arthurs, professor of radiology at London's Great Ormond Street Hospital, had been instructed to review x-rays taken of child A when alive and after death, as well as other babies in the investigation. Looking at one of the post-mortem x-rays, he highlighted to the court that there was gas within the bowel. He said, a normal feature, and also the heart. Prosecutor Nick Johnson asked if there was anything unusual about the x-ray, and Dr. Arthurs replied, you can see a line of gas just in front of the spine, and that is an unusual finding. He said such an image would not be seen in deaths by natural causes, but had been documented in cases of road traffic accidents and sepsis infection. In my opinion, this was an unusual appearance. In the absence of any other explanation, this appearance is consistent with, but not diagnostic of, air having been administered. Dr. Arthurs said he could not say from the image alone that an air embolism, a gas bubble which enters a blood vessel, was the cause of child A's death. The court previously heard that child A did not have intravenous fluids for up to 4 hours on June 8th before he received glucose through a long-line plastic tube at 20:05, shortly after Ms. Letby came on duty. Earlier on the shift, a cannula to a blood vessel stopped working, followed by 2 failed attempts to correctly insert a catheter into the child's belly button. Dr. Arthurs told the court that it was possible that gas could have been introduced by one of those devices. Mr. Johnson asked, have you ever seen this much gas in a baby that has not been explained? To which Dr. Arthurs replied, only in one other case. When Mr. Johnson said, one of the other children in this case, the doctor replied, that's right. Dr. Arthurs said he based his opinions on a published peer-reviewed study in 2015, which looked at how common it is that gas occurs in older children who have died, albeit with very few babies included in the study. He went on to review the deaths of 500 infants at Great Ormond Street. The radiologist also reviewed the x-rays of child A's twin sister, child B, who Ms. Letby is accused of killing by an air injection on the following night shift at the neonatal unit. Dr. Arthurs said that he found no significant abnormalities on the radiograph images, including an x-ray taken 40 minutes after she suffered a sudden collapse, which the prosecution say Ms. Letby was responsible for. The nurse, originally from Hereford, denies all the offenses which are said to have been committed between June 2015 and June 2016. And let's see. Let's go and read this one. Let's see. A doctor described the traumatic night a baby allegedly was murdered by Lucy Letby, and the baby suddenly deteriorated. It is alleged she fatally injected an excess amount of air into the bloodstream of one baby before attempting to murder a sister in the same way. The pediatric registrar, Dr. David Harkness, was on duty on the evening the first baby, referred to as Child A, died in June of 2015. He told the trial, as he testified in the Manchester Crown Court, that it was very unexpected. The jury heard how medics battled to save Child A after his heart rate dropped to 60 to 70 beats per minute. Dr. Harkness said chest compressions were begun and fluids, including adrenaline, was administered. CPR continued until 20:57, but at that point there was no heart rate that was present. It was felt the kindest thing to do was to stop resuscitation, he said. Reflecting on the events of that night, this was a completely stable, well baby who had no reason to suddenly deteriorate, so I was very surprised to be called back. He had a very unusual patching of his skin, which I have never seen before. The patches were blue, purple, red, and white. I've never seen it before or since. It didn't come and go. It came, and then he went into cardiac arrest. Dr. Harkness said the abnormal patches were all over Child A's body, and he had only ever seen it in one other child. Ms. Letby's defense lawyer, Ben Myers, later questioned the veracity of the account. Mr. Myers took the jury through Dr. Harkness's medical notes at the time, which made no reference to blue, purple, red, and white patches. Pressed on why this had been omitted, Dr. Harkness said it was an emotional time, as it was one of the first neonatal deaths he had experienced, and he had found it greatly upsetting. The jury earlier heard child A could not be given fluids for at least 4 hours between 1600 hours and 2000 hours on the day that he died after difficulty fitting an umbilical venous catheter, a UVC. A UVC allows fluids and medications to be given without frequently replacing an intravenous line. A note was shown to the court from a nurse, Melanie Taylor, who was on duty on the day that child A died, and stated UVC in wrong position, reinserted, again in wrong position, cannula tissued, doctors busy on ward, aware no fluids running for a couple of hours. Ms. Letby's defense barrister, Ben Myers, asked Ms. Taylor, he should have been getting fluids during this 4-hour period, shouldn't he? Ms. Taylor responded, yes. The nurse, originally from Hereford, denies all the offenses which are said to have been committed in that year time, June 2015 or June 2016. Okay. And so let's go to the other trial. Which is day 15. Hold on a second. What happened here? Homicide suspect Darrell Brooks Jr. called his ex-girlfriend as defense witness Friday morning as he began in earnest to present his defense. But the questioning soon went off the rails as he tried to introduce photographs he said she sent to him well after the November 21st Waukesha Christmas parade tragedy. Brooks was also repeatedly removed from the courtroom for disruptions, and a break was called when he met with the county circuit judge Jennifer Darrow with an unflinching stare down. Brooks is 40 years old and has been representing himself over these weeks of trial, 3 weeks, on 6 counts of first-degree intentional homicide and dozens of other counts of reckless injury and endangerment. He is charged with driving a red Ford Escape through the parade and killing and injuring participants and spectators. The violence came minutes after Brooks is accused of striking his ex-girlfriend, with whom he shares a 15-year-old daughter, during an argument in the vicinity of the parade. She has already testified for the state and has been cross-examined by Brooks. His direct examination initially covered much of the same ground. Hold on a second, I forgot to change your graphic. About how they came to meet at Frame Park, a fight over money, her testimony that he'd struck her, and her reports to the police. The Milwaukee Journal Centennial is not publishing the woman's name or image because she is a victim of domestic violence. So let's see. Brooks attempted to show her some photographs. He said that she mailed to him in jail. Hold on a minute. He argued it would attack her credibility because she had just testified that she had no contact with him since that date. She allegedly mailed these to him after November 21st, when he was in jail. The state objected. Prosecutors have never seen the photos before Friday, they said. They appeared as an attempt to cast the witness as a bad mother and as proof she actually sent them to Brooks in jail. Assistant District Attorney Zach Wichow said recorded jail phone calls show Brooks had been trying to get his mother to mail such photos. Brooks told Darrow that photos came in a letter. She asked if the witness had signed it. He laughed and suggested no one signs letters to inmates. Darrow asked if there was some other way he could establish that it was from the witness, such as identifying handwriting. Brooks said he hadn't brought the letter with him to court. Wichow also brought up that even if the witness was a bad mother, that would have no impact on the credibility of her testimony about events the day of the parade. Darrow has prohibited other evidence from the trial because it could be prejudicial against Brooks, but warned him again. his questioning and comments could allow prosecutors to bring it up. Brooks became extremely agitated and disruptive at this point, leading to the early lunch break. Darrell said she'd have to retrieve the actual letter he claims came with the photos before any more argument about whether it would be admissible. Brooks began the second half of the day in an adjacent courtroom so that the jury could be brought in without interruption. It has been a rough morning, to say the least, she added. Brooks' questions regarding how he met his ex and the child he has with her were improper, Darrell said, and his disruptive and defiant behavior prompted her to remove him from the courtroom. Darrell ultimately decided not to bring his ex back to the stand. Brooks eventually returned to the courtroom, but his interruptions continued, and he was again removed by the judge. Brooks then refused to call his next witness from the different room. He continued to raise his voice at the judge in objection to his removal. Eventually, he slammed the headphones he has used to hear the proceedings down on the table where he was seated. All I'm asking is you present yourself with integrity, decorum, and respect, the judge said. After a short recess, Brooks returned to the courtroom for his next witness. Brooks called Deanna Aldrich and Christopher Bertram, two witnesses who saw the SUV that crashed into the route at the parade. Both said they saw the damaged car. Aldrich said it was stopped and Bertram when it drove by, but did not get a clear view of the suspect. The prosecution did not cross-examine either of the witnesses, which made Brooks skeptical. I see the whole strategy here by the prosecution, he told the judge after she removed the jury. He said it was apparent that the witnesses had been coached by the prosecutors on how to answer his questions which Darrell called baseless claims. Brooks slammed the table with his fist and suddenly became silent. He fixed the judge with an unblinking stare. His mouth turned down into a deep frown. In response, she called a break. Quite frankly, it makes me scared, she said. Brooks' witness, Abel Laxano, testified that he saw someone hit by the SUV right in front of him when he attended the parade. Brooks asked if he could see who was driving the car. Yeah, you're standing right there, Lacanzo replied. Earlier Friday, Brooks completed a rather short direct examination of a man who said he saw a red SUV veer through the parade staging area and speed past the first officer who tried to stop it on its way to the parade route after the detective who had interviewed Brooks' ex-girlfriend. Let's see. Brooks' last two witnesses for the day were parade attendees Kathleen Urell, a mother of 4 children, who were all injured while participating in the parade, and Catrice Badbias, who said that she was injured in the incident but not physically. Brooks asked them if they recalled the driver's appearance and where they were located during the parade. Let's see. Kathleen Urell said she did not remember the driver's appearance, but Catrice said she looked him right in the eyes. During cross-examination, Kathleen Urell tearfully recounted her children's severe injuries, including multiple broken bones, and her 7-year-old daughter's severe concussion. Brooks refused to sit down during Catrice's cross-examination, despite the judge's instruction to stop standing out of respect for the witness. He repeatedly objected to prosecutors' questions, which the judge overruled. It's always overruled, he said. Brooks became increasingly angry during his redirect examination of Catrice, rolling his eyes and repeatedly asking the same questions about how she knew his name. The judge halted his questioning because of his argumentative nature. "How are you even a judge?" he said. In response, the judge abruptly ended the witness's testimony for the day. Brooks continued to raise his voice at the judge after the jury's removal, claiming the courtroom has no integrity whatsoever. He was then removed from the courtroom. Brooks has said he intends to call his mother as his last witness, but as of Friday, it was unclear whether that would happen. Prosecutors rested their case on Thursday after more than a week and a half of testimony. The trial is scheduled to last until October 28th. Okay. Let's see what's going on in Alive. Okay, so hi Rosalita Marie, you guys are all in here. He had such an evil in his eyes, staring down the judge. So you're watching, right, Rosalita? No, 1 second. I'm gonna get something here. Okay, let me come back here. I have to take something for my headache. Kevin's watching too, I know. Poor judge, you don't know how she's kept it together, Rosalita. I think after today, the judge will be more cautious, Kevin says. His whole look changed when he stared her down. Yeah, I heard it was pretty hairy, right? I've got to catch up with a lot. There's like only so many hours in a day. We will have an auction tomorrow. I have to figure out the time with getting the shots, but I'll try to get the thumbnail up before I leave. I'll know better what's going on. Sure, it'll be in the evening, I'm sure. I've got a lot of stuff, and I think everybody else does too. So we'll see how that goes. You need to catch up too, yeah, Deborah. But I think I am gonna go take something and lay down. It's been a crazy day, and I'm gonna take something. I feel like I'm getting a headache, and I just want to get in the massage chair and relax a little bit. I'm gonna start a new Zoom before we go, so let me do that, and then we will start her up again. What the heck is my... There we go. Let me put the number in. Number. Okay, let's see. You won't be there tomorrow? Oh, wow. You won't be? You're going to miss a lot of stuff tomorrow. Seriously? Where are you going? Are you going to visit your new great-grandbaby? I wonder if we should do it I don't know. We'll see. You're going to miss a lot of stuff. That's for sure. I'm just wondering with me going out. I don't know. See, I'm just wondering if we go out, we might go out. So maybe we would do it Sunday. I don't know. I'll have to talk to the girls and see. We'll see. Let me... I'm trying to find... Hold on here. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to put the number... See, I'm really spacing out here. Okay. Okay, the number's in. I've got to find my a leave or something. Not a leave. Maybe I will take. Here comes the people. Katz and Sharon and Margot and Liza. You guys. Hello. Hi Liza. Hi Sharon. Hi Katz. I'm gonna make Sharon your co-host. Sharon say, I'm not a co-host. I'm trying. Hello. Hello. Everybody a co-host down. Yeah, everybody is there. And now we'll have some others come in. Come on in. Good night, Rosalita. Have a nice night.
Good night, everyone.
What's that? Oh, Margot's got, I think, something playing.
Come on in, that's fine.
Hold on, wait a minute. Who else come in? Oh,
I don't know.
Sorry, it's me.
Oh, okay.
This sounds weird.
Oh, is you, Mark?
Okay, good night, everybody. Prayers to all that need, and we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Bye. Good night. Love you guys. Bye, everybody.
Like and subscribe.